Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast. Here is your host.
Let's send it over to Rick Bucher.
Rick Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast network. And I am joined by I think I can call him a friend of the program. He's been here before, Matt Barnes.
A regular.
There you go. FS1 contributor, colleague, and former NBA vet. So, Matt, first of all, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
So, we are recording this on the eve of Game 3 of the NBA Finals. And I wanted to have you on in particular because of the situation that the Warriors find themselves in.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, relying on any number of role players to suddenly come in and play big roles.
Right.
And let's start there. What is it about either the Warriors system or the way the Warriors prepare over the course of a season that seems to have guys ready to step into these situations and play big roles out of the blue?
I think it's both what you said. It's the organization, the team, and just the system as a whole. And I think it stems to obviously Coach Kerr coming from Popovich and seeing what that was like. New management coming in and kind of doing an overhaul of the franchise. So I think everything starts at the top. When I speak about the Lakers, that's what their problem is. Everything starts at the top. But with the Warriors, it's kind of a plug-and-play situation, and it's really taken that next man-up mentality to a whole new level.
Yeah.
And these kids have come in and played very well. It's been very impressive.
Now, this was one of the arguments when it came to KD, better with or without KD, which I think both of us would look at and say is kind of a ridiculous
question,
right? But people, in one way, I understand why it came up because of the flow and because they didn't really miss a beat against Houston or Portland. Obviously, we know that guys breaking down physically is a direct result of KD not being there, right? But within that framework, like how long can you get by with role players coming in?
It seems like they're just, a dam is breaking and they're like little holes keep being punched and they're plugging these younger players in to kind of stop the water from breaking. But it's going to have to work throughout the finals if that's the case. Hopefully Clay is not down too long.
Yeah.
But the way I really look at it is now it's coming down to not necessarily one-on-one matchups, but you can compare and contrast each team. To me, now it's obviously Steph and Kawhi are, the superstars.
Yeah.
And then you have Draymond Green and Siakam.
Okay.
And then you can go down to Andre Iguodala and Kyle Lowry.
Okay.
Who's going to play better there? And then you can even take it to the bench almost with, can Quinn Cook slow down Van Fleet?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Take that challenge. He doesn't have to score because the Warriors have a few more guys on the bench that can score, but he has to take that defensive challenge of not letting Van Fleet come in there and get 16 to 18 and really be that sixth-man catalyst. But to me, the whole X factor, and he's completely proved me wrong, and he's a great friend of mine. I hope he continues to improve, is DeMarcus. DeMarcus came in and gave him a double-double with 6 assists, I think, and just really kind of getting comfortable. And the Warriors definitely, now that if Clay has to miss Game 3 or even Game 3 and Game 4, they're going to need someone else outside of Steph to be able to put the ball in the basket.
Yeah, with DeMarcus, I find it extraordinary. And this is why I wasn't sure he was even going to play.
I talked to him right before the finals started, and I was just like, I know how excited you are, and this is what you've always wanted, but you have so much more basketball ahead of you, so err on the side of caution.
Yes. And I feel that with KD.
Right, absolutely.
Iguodala has said, it's not smart that I'm playing right now. Yeah. I mean, I feel as if they are pushing the envelope on every guy.
They're on E. You know what I mean? But this is what's going to make the story that much greater if it happens. The last year in Oracle, they lost everybody, and they said they couldn't do it without this guy, and then if they're able to pull it out, it's just going to add to their legendary status and the dynasty they've built. But to me, it's always, I just pick their experience, and I think everyone's like, well, you played there, and that's what you think. But it's not so much about, on paper right now, probably Toronto looks better with who's healthy and who can actually go.
Sure.
But you can never, you can't substitute with that experience. Is like these guys have been there for, 4 out of the last 5 years, winning, losing, tasting both sides of it. And that's something that Toronto can't say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when it comes down to these fourth quarters, or when Golden State made that run in the second half, you're just like, you can tell, like, Golden State can respond to stuff like that because they've been there. You know, they've been down large deficits, whether it be points or down in series, you know, and been able to come back. And all that stuff is part of the growing process, and that's what Toronto doesn't have.
How much is it just the confidence that we've been here before? So there's not going to be, nobody's rattled.
No.
You just keep playing. But how much of it is also understanding exactly what it is that you have to do, either to make up a deficit or in a game in the final minutes where you're not scoring? Like just the sense of, because I would see this as the distinction in game 2.
Right.
Like
Absolutely.
the Warriors were comfortable not scoring. And the Raptors, obviously behind, they had to score, but they also, you could kind of sense that they were trying to figure out what is it, they're searching for what is it that we want to do or what that we need to do to make this happen.
Well, I think what makes the Warriors special is they're comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've been through every scenario you can imagine. And as crazy as that sounds, they're very comfortable in chaos, so to speak, because they've been there. And they know that they can put 5 guys who've been through the war on the floor down the stretch, and there's never going to be a panic moment, you know, because they know they're 1 stop away and 1-3 away from going on a 15-2 blitz.
Right.
You know, so it's just, that's their best quality is they're very comfortable being uncomfortable.
So if I'm the Raptors and I'm seeing Quinn Cook playing longer minutes, or even DeMarcus playing longer minutes, guys that weren't necessarily, I don't want to take DeMarcus out of it because you probably got kind of a book on his game at this point. But guys that you wouldn't normally see a whole lot of, Alfonso McKinney, how long does it take for Toronto to kind of dial in and say, okay, if we do this, it's going to make the game difficult on him? Because they're role players for a reason,
you're
right? They can't.
But
they
you
don't
also have to realize that they're role players on the best team in the league. You know what I mean? So it's different because they've been students on the bench watching, you know, these Hall of Famers do what they do. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, these guys can't wait for their chance. Although they much rather have KD and Clay healthy and everyone healthy. That's what you pray for as a young guy. It's like, okay, I got a chance on the biggest stage. You know what I mean? And you come out and you really see what you're made of, and they played well. It really, I'm sad for my fellow Bruin Looney. Having to go down. He's been playing amazing throughout the playoffs. And shout out my guy Rico Hines, because he was in the gym with that guy the past 2 summers, really putting a lot of work in, and you can see it finally coming on the court. And to lose him, he was a consistent, you know, under the radar, always did the right thing, double guy, smart basketball IQ. Losing him is another knock. That's a big crazy. Knock.
Because he was the one big that you felt like could switch out on the pick and roll.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right?
You know, so but luckily, I think the only spot, I mean, it's gonna hurt him definitely. But I saw some this morning, and the one spot that they do luckily have a little bit more depth now is with Boogie coming back, and then Bogut. You know, Bogut is a guy that you can just plug in. You don't have to worry about him. You know, he can sit on the bench for 35 minutes and come in and do what he needs to do in any situation. He's that kind of player. He's that kind of intelligent player, and that's why they got him. So, like I said, all the injuries are going to continue to add to the lure and really make this that much more of a vindication and an amazing story if they're able to pull this off.
I feel so badly for Kavan. Not just that he's out, but he and I talked about it. Like he was on the precipice of getting paid,
or
seeing that rewarded, and this throws a big wrench in that. And I don't know that people quite like. He may never get that money back.
I don't know how much it hurts him from a standpoint that he's done it consistently throughout the playoffs. I mean, obviously you like to see how he actually is throughout the finals.
Yeah,
but his game is one thing. You know, he always stays within himself, and he always plays his game, you know, similar to how David West played at the end of his career. Like, he knew his role. You plug him in, and he's going to do exactly what you need him to do. And that's the way Looney plays. So I don't know how much it will hurt him. I think he's proven his worth. I don't know what his contract situation is. Is he a free agent this summer? Okay. You know, so I think there's definitely be some teams interested in what he's bringing.
Yeah, is he going to be re-signed? Sure.
Yeah.
He's demonstrated that he can play on this level. It's just
getting real money,
or the possibility of it. That it's not that he's not going to get paid. It's that he's the potential of losing money. He was looking really good. The opportunity to be rewarded.
I agree with that.
And I feel for him. I feel for him on that front because he There was one play, I don't know if you remember it. He and I talked about it, but it was like, oh, come on, went to a new level, where it's the corner handoff. He kind of sets a down screen and hands it off to Clay for the corner three, and he faked the handoff, spun and rolled to the cup and finished. I was like, I have never seen, like, he's
a student. He watched Draymond do that. You know what I mean? You had, like I said, these young guys are watching future Hall of Famers in front of them.
Yeah.
I mean, so not to soak up the game would be the biggest mistake they've ever made. So I know these guys are sitting and they're having fun while they're doing it. You know what I mean? So like I said, although the Warriors continue to drop like flies, which is unfortunate, it's this next man up is really being tested, and these kids have done what they needed to do.
Yeah. So dealing with injury and your belief in cannabis is well known. I'm just wondering, when you look through this prism, and I asked you because in the last podcast, Will Blackman from the NFL and I talked about this, and he was taking me through all the drugs that they provide you.
Man,
and insane. Toradol being like the one where
I had to take Toradol when I played for the Clippers. And it's bad.
Yeah,
like I was so hurt that it was in the playoffs. I couldn't lift my shooting arm whenever I wasn't playing, and I'd take a shot an hour before the game, and I'd feel like Superman.
Yeah.
So when we were playing San Antonio, like I got hit with the Dwight Howard screen early in that, and I did like a small separation and like a small little fragment. Some crazy stuff was happening. So I couldn't, literally all week I couldn't shoot, and I would take that Toradol shot and I'd be fine. I'm just like, there's no way this is good for the inside of your body.
No doubt.
No way.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? So, and I'm a big believer on cannabis. I think it, obviously administered right, possibly along with other stuff, whatever the situation may be, needed to take care of stuff, but it's natural, and like you guys probably spoke on, they'll put any kind of unnatural poisonous stuff back in our body for us to get back on the field or court or whatever the situation may be, but then want to penalize us and suspend us and do all kinds of things if we're doing something that's natural, and that's why, throughout my 15 years, I just found a way to maneuver. I smoked my entire career, you know what I mean? And it was just something that I knew I shouldn't have been doing, but the alternative was what? Like I can't, prescription pills give me stomach aches, and I'm a social drink. I'm not like a big time, let me douse my pain with alcohol. So it was just like cannabis, what it was for me. And it would never caused any
disruption
problem.
In your life.
No, it was, it was almost just like I felt like I was in a better zone in life as a whole when I'm on it. So that's why I just think it's really big through, education and letting people know what this plan is about. I'm launching a line called Swish, and it's going to be all about the education of the plan. I'm also doing health and wellness CBD, but on the actual flowers THC side, we're going to, when you buy my cannabis, it's going to tell you, how you should feel, the taste and what it's going to do to your body. So everything is really self-explanatory. And if you're a beginner, this is how much you should start with, you know what I mean? Because I just think the more you educate yourself on this stuff, the more you'll understand how amazing this plant is. It shouldn't even be a drug. And you continue to see people going to prison now or in prison for this, and and it's being legalized and people are allowed to make money off it. So it's a completely backwards situation that hopefully will get cleaned up. But I just think back to the education side, and it's refreshing to see that the NFL is looking into it now. Professional hockey is looking into it. The NBA used to be in a situation where when I first got in the league, they would give us one preseason test and then not say, hey, you can smoke, but they just wouldn't test for it no more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just like guys went about their business and did what they had to do. So I think ever since the steroid epidemic came up and they realized that we didn't have a steroid issue in the NBA, and I also partly think it's kind of a black thing, to be honest with you. Like, okay, well, we know these guys smoke weed, so let's test them and try to bust them. 4 random tests, like, come on, man.
Yeah.
For weed, but you guys, like you said, you'll give us any kind of prescription drug to get us back out there.
I did a radio show for a little bit with Aubrey Huff, won World Series with the Giants, and he was telling me about Adderall and how easy it was to get and how he was using it every day, and the profound effect it had on him and the addiction that he, quite honestly, that it created. And I'm thinking, okay, so that's okay. Right. Nobody blinks an eye at that. I mean, abuse to me is abuse, right? Whatever it might be.
Right.
And I do think it is societal in looking at cannabis as the evil weed. I remember one of the first movies as a kid I saw was Reefer Madness, right? But that kind of mentality existed out there.
It's just been pounded into our heads that it's a gateway drug, and if you smoke it, you're going to be a loser and lazy and all this kind of stuff. And it's to me, cannabis just makes you more of what you already are. You know what I mean? Like if you like to relax, you're going to relax. If you like to be, there's so many different strains now. Like I smoke every day when I wake up. You know what I mean? And I smoke different types of weed for different times. Like in the morning before I came here, I would smoke a heavy sativa, which is kind of more of a head high, makes you more thoughtful, makes you more witty, more on it. It's just kind of gets me going. You know what I mean? So it's really, it's so scientific now, which is amazing that it's really there's a strain for every moment of life.
See, that was the part that I never quite understood when I first heard that guys, like I completely understood guys smoking afterward to relax or to alleviate the aches and pains. Yeah. Hearing that guys were playing or practicing on it, that never equated for me because I always saw it as simply relaxing you. I mean, the times that I tried it and I wasn't big on it because it put me to sleep.
Right. It's, to be honest with you, like these new strains that are, like the sativas and all this kind of stuff, it wasn't really a thing. Like, strains are really a big thing, and indica and sativa are a really big thing now. But when I first started smoking, I started smoking at 14. So, in the early 90s, it was always like a heavy OG kind of weed, which would make you tired or relaxed or want to eat a lot of, give you the munchies, you know what I mean? And that's all we smoked, for the first, 20 years of my life that I smoked. And like I said, probably the last 5 years is when people kind of stuff is more strain specific. And I love that now. I've been smoking for so long, but learning these new strains, and there's really a type of weed for every mood or every situation, whether it be sleep, pain, relaxation, stress, energy, sleep, whatever the situation, there's a plant, there's a strain for it. And I think that's amazing.
So are there NBA teams where it's easier or more accepted that guys are smoking? I'm having a hard time seeing the guys in Utah.
I think the 2007 Warriors Don Nelson team, it was very much accepted. He used to, man, when I tell you, when he used to say to me, Barron and Jack, like, man, you guys need to hurry up and get your test so you can start smoking, not knowing that we were kind of already doing what we were doing. Even though we were in trouble, we were still kind of just beating the system. You know what I mean? So it was a thing where he knew, it was fun. Like, he knew we smoked. You know, he was just such a cool dude. And down, if that's what you guys need, just be responsible.
Well, wasn't he? Because he does now. Yeah.
Well, he says he does. I think he did back then. You know what I mean? So you can't tell me. You can't tell me. I saw a little snippet of the press conference with him, Jack, and I think Jay Rich, because I couldn't make that game, and he said, "Oh, I smoke now," and I'm thinking like, "No way, you've been smoking, Nelly. Like, get the hell out of here." But to get back to your question, I don't think so. I don't think any organization wants to okay it. To me, it's not so much about saying, "Hey, go smoke." It's more about, we're just not going to test for it. We're not promoting the fact that our players are smoking weed. That's not, we're not, I don't think that we're there yet. But it just shouldn't be tested for, is my whole thing. Or not as tested much. If you want to test, I understand you want to test for street performing, or the cocaine, the ecstasy, the lean, the mollies, whatever. I get all that. You want to test for that, cool. But marijuana shouldn't be on that list.
Is there a way, and I'm out of my depth in talking about this, but is there a way are there certain strains, or there's certain cannabis that's better than others, or is there a way to, because we talk about these different drugs, and obviously, whether they're synthetics or whether they are the heavy narcotics, whatever, understand you don't want that. You want to test for that. You want to make sure nobody's on that. I just wonder, are there different variations of cannabis are they all positive, or are they all beneficial, or is there?
I think everything is, I think, kind of situation specific. Like, I think in moderation and understanding what you're doing, as if anything, is going to be better for you.
So if there were like accepted strains or elements. Like to me, that's the introductory way of getting around it, to say, these.
Well, there would be ways that we can go to professional teams right now and say this strand will make play. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's a relax. It sleeps. It's anxiety. Like we can go to and have scientific evidence behind these strands right now. This is what it does.
Right.
So they're just not ready for that yet.
Okay. All right. How much conversation have you had with Adam or
I know that Al Harrington is taking the lead with his brand Viola. He got a jump start on me. This is something I've been doing for a long time. Al's story with his grandma, and he jumped into it towards the end of his career, but he finished before I did. So he really got a leg up and kind of has been laying the pathway for all of us. His meeting with David Stern to initially think, that what David Stern said, he's met with Adam Silver. I know he's met with the Players Association. So he's kind of really taken the lead on this. Yeah. And, I'm definitely backing everything he does. And in the project I'm working on with UCLA, the UCLA Cannabis Research Program, we're hoping to link up with the Players Association and the NBA to kind of help bridge the gap with understanding and things we can do to kind of, like I said, educate these people that need to be educated so that our trainers can prescribe, whether it be CBD or THC to us, just like they prescribe any of these other opioids.
So with the way KD's feeling, the way Clay's feeling, the way DeMarcus is feeling, would they, if they wanted to smoke, could they right now?
Technically, no.
No.
Because, you could get tested all the way to the end of the finals.
But you did.
I did, yeah.
And you were. What I mean is, I understand technically against the rules they couldn't.
Right.
But could they? Could they, if they decided, this is going to allow me to get ready?
If that was something they did, possibly. You know what I mean? Like I said, if it would just depend on if they've had their fourth test yet. You know what I mean? That would be the main thing.
That's so weird. That's goofy in itself.
Right. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like I said, I really had found a way to like I said, to maneuver the situation. You know what I mean? So I knew what, when I smoked, what I had to do to prepare my body just in case I was going to be tested, So eating clean, drinking a lot of water, staying in the steam.
Yeah. What is it? What's the routine?
Those three things for me, I no
really, Golden Seal or because I've heard
all that old stuff. No, I didn't really mess with that, and I kind of started testing with that stuff, testing for masking agents. You know what I mean? So like I said, it was just a process I knew, and it was sometimes would be rigorous. You know what I mean? But it would just be drinking a ton of water, trying to always eat clean.
So it's just basically
just really flushing my body, constantly flushing my body, and then you think as an athlete we practice and play so much that I'm sweating a lot more than a normal person is. You know what I mean? So it's not going to stay, and I'm lean too, so it's not going to stick and stay in my body as long as it stays on other people.
You never got popped.
I got hit 2 times actually.
Oh, I take that back.
So I got hit in Golden State with Jack and Barron during the We Believe era, and then I got hit again with the Clippers.
Huh?
Yeah.
So what went wrong? Because you did it your entire career, right?
Yeah. I just didn't have what I needed to take the test at the time. You know what I mean? So it was just, I don't want to go into too much detail because there may be guys on the same path as me right now playing. Right. So that's what I'm really working for. So guys it's a process.
Right.
Rick, when I tell you, man, I had to do a lot of stuff to be able to smoke and play. It was crazy. Like the amount of water I'd have to drink and the things I would have to do to flush my body, which was crazy.
So on the flip side, it took a lot of attention to that detail. What was it that it did for you that made you believe it was worth all of that attention to detail and you're constantly trying to get around.
It was just
the rule.
Really coming, even growing up, leading up. I lived in a household where there was drugs and abuse and violence, and so when I started smoking at 14, it kind of put all that stuff to rest. I'd be able to relax. I'd be able to sleep finally. I'd be able to focus on whatever I had to do. And really, since then, my life it's been great, but it's been crazy. My off the court stuff has been insane. You know what I mean? So to be able to, people to understand, like, we're still human. You know what I mean? So I'm going through a crazy divorce, and I'm fighting my ex-teammates all while I'm playing while I'm doing my job. My mom dies at the beginning of the season, and I still have to play. Like, I still have to do my job. So I needed to smoke to kind of like, because I couldn't sleep at night. Okay, let me smoke so I can sleep. Let me relax. And after the games, I was never someone that really sat out with injury. I would sit out if I got suspended. You know what I mean? So, but after the game, I'm sore, man. You know what I mean? So I need to smoke and ice and, watch game from what I did. So it was just, I knew what would happen if I got caught, and I got caught twice, and I got hit with some money. But on the flip side, to me, there was no choice. You know what I mean? I just needed it in my life in general. And it wasn't like, oh, he's addicted to it. Just I can function with or without it, but it just helps me get through the stressful life and just the crazy life I live in general.
What is, I don't know if you ever in this instance, what is DeMarcus feeling like physically right now after playing 28 minutes in an NBA Finals game, after not having played anything close to that for this long?
Very sore.
And what is it? What do you think he's feeling
achy.
the most?
His legs.
Yeah.
Definitely his legs. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still sure. I've never had an Achilles injury, but I'm sure overall that probably is still sore. And you're continuing to get treatment on your quad, and then you got to think everything around that is affected as well. You know what I mean? So it's your calf, it's your glute, your hips. Like, it's everything has to be worked on from head to toe. You know, for me, cannabis would be an anti-inflammatory. It'd be something to help him relax. It'd be something to help him sleep, something to help him deal with the aches and pains. So, and
then last question, Clay. What are they doing with Clay? What is Clay doing from now until tip off to try to get himself in a place where he can play?
Around the clock treatment. What
does that mean?
Just whatever this is. So hamstrings are it was a lot of stem. It depends on how bad it is. If it bled, there's a lot of different techniques they need to use. I mean, I'm sure they have to understand exactly how the situation, strain, tear, whatever situation. Yeah. But around the clock treatment, and it's similar to what DeMarcus's quad was. You can't. It can feel all right until you have to actually go full speed. Yeah. So you can test, like, when it's hard to really evaluate on a test, like if you're getting close, like for DeMarcus' situation, because, if you're testing, it's calculated. Like, they want you to cut here. I'm going to cut here. In a game, it's on reaction and instinct. So that's when you're really going to tell. But then again, same with KD. With his calf, like if you come back to the calves, hamstrings, and quads and growings are all the same type of injury where it can feel good until you actually have to do it. But then if you come back and you do it and you do more damage, you're done. Yeah. So that's why like I told DeMarcus before, you got to err on the side of caution. KD and I have spoke, about this as well. I haven't had a chance to talk to Clay, but it's the same thing. I know he wants to be out there, and hamstrings are really tricky. You know what I mean? Especially as much as he cuts and moves, and who he's having to guard and move sideways and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping for the best. But just kind of, I think with the rest of the guys, just probably expecting, not the worst, because we want anything bad to happen, but they're preparing to play without him. So the next mentality up is Game 3 tomorrow night.
All right, that does it for this episode of Bucher and Friends with Matt Barnes. Don't forget, please rate us, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you screenshot the rating and send it to us at Bucher Friends, you'll be eligible to win some prizes. All right, Matt, as always,
good show
a pleasure. Thank you, man.
We got some good stuff off.
Appreciate it.
All right, man.
All right.